Peter, last interview was back in February, start of February. So 8 months since then. I'm guessing a lot has happened with you. At the time, you were fairly new to copywriting. You had just joined the real world, started making a decent income for the amount of time you were doing it. And I look forward now to hearing how everything has progressed for you. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's been a crazy 8 months. It's been full of lessons. But yeah, I've enjoyed every minute, and we keep going onwards and upwards.
Okay. What would you say were the highlights in those 8 months? Let's start with that.
There was a lot. Flew halfway across the world to America, lived in Scottsdale for 2 months, just near Phoenix, Arizona. Well, technically in Phoenix, Arizona, just a different part. Trained at some of the best MMA gyms in the world. I think I also hit London, Liverpool, and a couple other nice mini little vacations. Um, yeah, bunch of stuff, bunch of traveling. Met lots of cool people. Met some kids doing younger than me, doing 300-400K a month, which was crazy. Got to learn from some other guys who were doing 500K a month. Yeah, it's been it's been
Right.
good.
I'm sure that gives you a very interesting perspective shift when you see people that age making that much money. So, was that a point where some ceilings were broken for you and you just saw what you could get to as well? Or did you even know beforehand as well? What was that experience like?
No, so it's different when you see it in person and you see it up close, because that was when I was in Scottsdale and a high level dude emailed his list that he was having a meetup, but it was invite only. So only, I think, 30 to 50 people who replied got a spot. And he rented out this entire restaurant in Scottsdale. And essentially, it was the majority of his friends were there, and a couple guys who just knew him were on his list. He's a pretty big YouTuber. And I happened to be in Scottsdale at that time when I'm from the UK, so it was a complete coincidence. I seen the email, I applied, and yeah, I got my invite. I went to the event, and it was full of people below the age of like 25 who were either doing multiple six figures a month or already millionaires. So it was when I seen that, and I seen the Porsche 911 and McLaren parked out front and the BM M5. Like when you see all those things, and I'm walking in and I see these cars are parked right in the street, it completely shifts your perspective on what's possible, because sometimes I think until you can see it firsthand, it makes it real, makes it tangible.
Mhm.
So yeah.
What kind of things were those people doing? What fields were they involved in?
So the one of the kids I met was called Caleb. He was actually younger than me. He was 19, and I think he was doing like 2 to 400K a month. He's a Google Ads specialist. Started his business at 15. No rich parents, completely self-made, and yeah, over the last I believe like 4 or 5 years, he just built up his Google Ads business. He got extremely proficient at the skill, and now he manages over $1 billion of e-commerce ad products or ad stores. So yeah, that was one. Another one you might know is Sebastian
Yep.
Georgiou, who is a drop shipper. I met him. He does like 500, 3 to 500K a month. And um, I met another guy who became a client who was doing like 1 million a year. So yeah, and he was like 25 or 26. So yeah, I met a lot of cool people, and
Mhm.
that definitely makes it a lot more real when you see that there's people who are either younger or slightly older than you, and they're making crazy amounts of money, and they, didn't come from a wealthy background. They didn't have any advantages that me or anybody else doesn't have. So when you see that and you see what's possible, it kind of reshifts your whole perspective, and it makes the world famous goal of wanting to hit 10K a month seem a bit obsolete.
Mhm. Okay. That is very interesting because some people might say that you were lucky, that you were just at the right place at the right time, but you did put in the work prior by learning copywriting, by pursuing what you were pursuing, and dedicating time to learning a skill that's useful to any business owners or basically anyone on the online space. They need copywriters. So you put in that time, and then you ended up being in a position where that skill was needed, and be able to make use of it. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was lucky, because I think that might be the first thought of people. Now, how did you make use of that opportunity? You said you landed a client. How did that progress with the client?
The one I got in America.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's going well. I'm still working with them at the moment. We are doing a project that is worth $5,650. So that's a project I'm working on right now. It's one of my projects, and it's been ongoing for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and I'm nearly wrapped up. So yeah, it's been going very well.
Very nice. What other clients have you worked with in the past 8 months? How has that been for you? And how did you acquire those clients?
So the majority of the clients I've acquired were acquired from getting one and doing a very good job, and then they refer you to others, because all of these top, say, like YouTube or Instagram guys, they know other people within that space who need those services. And when you find someone who is, skilled and can get you real, like tangible results, then what ends up happening is they're more than happy to refer you. Like, I didn't even ask for these referrals. They just text me and it's like, look, I want to refer you to this person.
Mhm.
Can you take on another client? So that got me the majority. But the clients I've worked with are a top Instagram mindset sort of. He's kind of spiritual, but more into the mindset niche. He's about 200,000 followers on Instagram. I have worked with a female empowerment coach who has about 200,000 followers on Instagram. I've worked with an 8 figure solar panel company in Arizona. And I have worked with a YouTuber who has, I think, 360,000 subscribers
Mhm.
on YouTube, and some of which I'm still currently working with. There's been others too, but they have been significantly smaller. Those are kind of my biggest clients.
Yep.
And yeah, the first one was got through cold outreach. Then I got some referrals. Then one was met at a networking event. So it's really just a plethora of different avenues.
Mhm. Okay. What services do you offer them?
At the beginning, it was just copywriting, but as I soon learned from my mentors, Chief and Antonio, ex apprentices, shout out to them, they introduced me to the idea that copywriting just is not enough, and that you need to, sorry, it absolutely is enough, but you can scale more if you offer marketing as a full sort of
Package?
service. Yeah, a
Mhm.
full package in one. So as a copywriter, a lot of business owners will perceive you as just, that's a guy who does my emails, or that's a guy who can write me a website. But when you transition into a full stack marketer, which essentially you can be a copywriter, but just label yourself differently. Now, of course, You do need to learn the skills, absolutely. But even if you just done that and you just labeled yourself slightly differently, business owners will start to perceive you in a more strategic partner type of a way rather than that's just a kid that writes emails. And when that happens, you can start to charge a lot more. So the services I offer are anything under marketing apart from ads because I haven't quite cracked those yet. That's a very difficult thing to do, is like cold traffic. It's a hard thing to master. So emails, website, social media, full funnel builds, everything sort of in between, even marketing strategies, product launch funnels. It's a yeah, a bit of everything.
Interesting. And how did you actually land that solar panel company? Because that seems quite bizarre in a way.
Yeah, it was bizarre. It was a referral. So I got a referral from my mindset coach had a client who owned this eight-figure solar panel company, and he heard his client say like, I really need someone to do these type of marketing services for me. And he said, wow, well, I know a guy. And then he connected us.
Mhm.
So yeah, stroke of fate, I suppose, or luck, but I don't believe in luck.
It's interesting because people at that level, at a higher level, whether it's monetarily, obviously it's just not monetary that goes into it. And there's a large part of it is mindset, and part of that mindset is a giving mindset. They have an abundance mindset, and they're fine with sharing what they have with others, whether it's knowledge or people they know in terms of connections, helping people they know, because they realize they think long term. And let's say if you do well for people, it does come full circle and it does come back to you later on. Whereas people who at a lower level, I don't know how else to classify it, so I'll say it in that way. People at a lower level, they just focus on taking. How can they get what's the most they can get out of it and just take, 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 and that doesn't lead you very far. So that was a very interesting example you gave in terms of that. Now, going on to how has your average day changed then? How is it different now compared to 8 months ago when we done that interview?
So my average day now is pretty much the same. I mean, I would definitely work more. But at the minute, it looks like, and people say this, and they're like, look, no way you get up at 6 a.m. 6 a.m. isn't early. Like, I've heard that so many times. If you go to bed at 10 or 10:30, you're perfectly energized at 6. Of course, you can't get up at 6 if you're going to bed at 2 a.m. scrolling on TikTok. Like, obviously, you're going to be tired.
Hmm.
But yeah, I get up at 6 a.m. I work out first thing. Um, that isn't always intense. Like, obviously, if I've had a very hard few days, I would do like an hour stretching, a 30-minute walk. Like, it doesn't always have to be a super hard session first thing in the morning, but ideally it's more intense. It's a individual boxing session. It's a proper workout in the gym, or it's a cardio workout. So that would be my morning. I then shower, not a cold shower. I mean, it depends. It depends, but most of the time it's hot, and then I pretty much get straight to work. Yeah, I come downstairs. I don't eat breakfast. I find that breakfast can leave you quite lethargic. It can sap your energy levels, and that isn't some like woo woo. That's proven.
Hmm.
Like, after you eat food, your body has to digest that food, and your internal systems are, the cogs are turning. So I don't eat, and I then get into work. I probably work for a couple hours. I then do eat lunch, but I make sure it's something like eggs or steak, something that's not really like heavy, like a pasta. And after I eat a quick lunch, I'll get back to work. I'll then likely go for a short walk, 10 or 15 minutes, because I find sitting inside and staring at a laptop all day, it can like your productivity can really take a downward spiral. So a quick 15-20 minute walk outside just helps reset my mind, and I come back in, I'm way more focused. So I would do that after another work session, and then I would finish my last work session around 6 or 7, depending. If I'm not training, I would go all the way to 7 or 8. And then if I am training, I would finish at about 6 p.m. I would go to MMA. I'm still doing that. And I try to go 2, 3 times a week, even 4. Now that doesn't always happen. This last week things have been extremely busy. I will probably only get to go once this week, but yeah, that's pretty much my average day at around 8 o'clock. I completely wind down, spend some time with the family and my girl, and then yeah, I go to bed at 10, 10:30.
Hmm. A very solid structure. Do you remember how different that is from before?
Vastly different. I don't even want to get into what I was doing before, how many hours were wasted on YouTube and Instagram and things that don't give you anything. There's no real end result. I mean, unless you're making money off these
Mhm.
platforms or it's facilitating your business, there's no real reason to be engaging in 3 hours of scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok. It's yeah, it's completely counterproductive. So that would be the biggest change. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not completely ingrained in this hustle 24/7 culture. I do think at the moment, anyway, it is important that you recharge. And for me, I can do that an hour at night, spending time with the people I love, 2 hours. Um, but yeah, I mean, apart from that, I guess I just used to waste a lot more time. My days were a lot more unstructured. And I would say that in general, I got less done because my ability to focus was worse. So when you really, really can dial in and focus and have your phone in a different room, have every distraction away from you, have only the 1 or 2 tabs that you're working on your computer open, I find that I can now get 3 or 4 days worth of work done in one day by simply developing the ability to focus and focus properly. So that's probably another big shift too, because it's not necessarily about the hours that you work, although you should work and you should work hard and you should work long when you can. But it's about the quality of them too. So I know guys who can do 8 to 10, 12 hours a day, but it's all at 30%. Whereas if someone who's doing 8 hours a day can do them 100% completely focused, dialed in, you can get way, way more done. So that's a
Mhm.
huge difference in my output specifically.
Right. What other changes have you noticed in yourself in that time? So you say focus is a big part of it, but I'm sure when you cut out all those negative things, I like to say it that keeps you at a lower vibrational frequency. When you cut them out, I'm sure there's a lot of progress just internally and changes that you notice. Is there anything else to talk about there?
It does, and again, don't want to get too woo woo, but I
Just get woo
completely
woo,
agree with
whatever. Get
you.
woo woo.
Yeah, I completely agree with you about the lower vibrational energy. I mean, there's a there's a certain smell, there's like a sixth sense that I really believe other people can unconsciously feel, that when you're about it and you do what you say you're going to do and you're working hard and you're in shape and you have confidence and you know that you have not betrayed your own ideal, and your ideal being the person that you want to become and the things that you should do, when you live life like that, I really do believe you walk through rooms and people can sense the energy, they can sense you're about it, they can sense you're about something different. Another way to do this would be learning how to fight, because that's huge. I mean, when people learn how to fight, there's a different aura about them. They're a lot more composed, they're a lot more calm. But the same can be replicated probably in a slightly different area if you just do what you say you're going to do, and you stick by your word, stick by your plans. So I do feel like I've definitely got a different sense of confidence, a different sense of composure, a different sense of ability to deal with stressful situations. And it really reframes your entire life. I mean, I could sit here and go on for the next hour about the amount of changes that this has, but to cut it short, obviously the way you internally feel is completely different. More tangible things like you have more energy throughout the day, your mood's better, your ability to focus is higher, especially after cutting out a lot of social media. Now I still use it from time to time, of course. It's a vice, it's fun, but from cutting my consumption way down, the ability to focus, yeah, has improved tenfold. And beyond those things, the changes in your well-being are quite gradual. Like, they don't happen all at once. So you don't quit social media, quit alcohol, quit staying up all night and eating the wrong foods and not working out. You don't do that for one day and then immediately the next day you wake up a new person. Like, it takes a few weeks, and especially if you're doing one thing at a time, the changes over, say, 2 to 3 months are immeasurable. They're insane. Like, you feel completely different. But because every day you're only feeling slightly better, you're only moving through the world at a slightly higher frequency, shall we say, then it can be hard to really nail down just how bad you were feeling before, just how low energy, just how unmotivated, just how undisciplined, just how much brain fog you had. I mean, something, yeah, something changes in you instrumentally. And another thing that I noticed is you start to walk through the world and you become aware that everyone is living life, or sorry, the majority of people
Mhm.
are living life at 5 to 10%. And what I mean by that is they're tired, they're stuck in, yeah, I suppose we can call it the matrix, being that as far as they're concerned, they just want to earn an average wage or even a good wage. Where I'm from, that's what, 4 or 5K a month. They want to earn a good wage, go out at the weekend, and their life is centered around instant gratification. And it's centered, an epiphany I had recently is it's not only centered around instant gratification, but if you talk to people who are operating at this lower level, it's always the next thing. So, yeah, I'm going out this weekend, or I have a holiday booked next month. They're always just looking for the next thing that's going to give them that wee spark of dopamine. There's no there's no substance, there's no genuine aim, ambition, there's no, and this goes for male and female, there's no vision to improve your life. And that doesn't even have to be financially. Like, some people don't want to make money, some people are happy at an average job, and I commend that. That's a great thing. um I nearly envy that, because people who can be happy with a simple life, it's yeah, it's nearly something to be jealous of, because they don't have to go through all the struggle of making money and building something massive. um Even for those people, like, if that's your goal, that's fine. But I do think the ability to just look and analyze your life and see how you can make your relationships better, how you can have higher energy, how you can physically improve your body and your mind, all of these things, it doesn't even have to be financial. Like I said, just It's about having a genuine aim that has more substance than getting drunk at the weekend and hooking up with the next girl you see. So that's something I noticed a lot that shifted in me. And when you try and talk to people who are at that level, they don't understand. They're like, well, what? This is fun, bro. Like, why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, you do not understand. When you're playing the game at a different level, you start to see things big picture, you start to see things long term. And again, I feel like I have to give context. Having a drink the odd time, even if you want to get drunk, if you want to engage in the occasional bit of debauchery, that's okay. Like, I don't think that's wrong if you have earned it and if you deserve it. But it's the people who make these things their gods look that turn around and look at their life at 30 years old and realize that they've wasted, the first 30 years of their life, and that they're probably not going to become anything. And it's sad.
Mhm. And to add to that, another aspect of it is people externalize uh, not emotions, but let's say they say, once I reach this, then I'll be happy. And instead of understanding that they need to actually be in that state now in order to be in that state later as well. Like it's not something you can externalize once you reach a goal that then you'll find contentment or something within. That's also something they need to find prior to it. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I think when it comes to that, I mean, you can even say this for people who are putting the work in. Like, I'll be happy once I reach this income. This is something the copywriting professor Andrew Bass talks about a lot. And he's completely right. The joy is in the pursuit. And at the start, that can be difficult to see, because at the start, it's all just about like money. It's all about this, it's all about that, all these external things. But as you develop in this game, you start to realize that the joy is in building something, the joy is in becoming a better man through your business, through your conquest. So I completely agree with you on that.
Mhm. How have you noticed your lifestyle change in those 8 months? Or
There's been
not
ups
much?
and downs, smiles and frowns. So it hasn't been completely smooth sailing. There was a point where I went all in on one client, and that relationship didn't work out. And I dropped all my previous clients because of that. So what ended up happening is, when that relationship didn't work out, I took a risk. I thought I could significantly make a significant amount of extra money by going all in. And yeah, when it didn't work out, I was back to square one. I had no clients because I dropped all the previous ones. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's been complete sunshine and rainbows, and that I've always, for the last 8 months, just been able to tap my card pretty much everywhere. Like, there was a point, I think I only had a few K, and I wasn't, yeah, I think that's all I had. And I was kind of like, oh crap, I need to get more clients now. But then when you do that and you go through the struggle, it makes for a way better sense of fulfillment when you, yeah, get the results. But in terms of in general over the last 8 months, the ability to buy things, to travel, and experience life, dine in nicer restaurants without having to think about the price is something that's a very unique feeling. And of course, there's limits. Like, I wasn't on jets, I wasn't buying a McLaren, but even on a lower scale, like, just not having to think at all about rent, about giving mom and dad money, about, okay, I remember a time I said to my girlfriend, okay, let's just go away. I've been working pretty hard. Do you want to go away tomorrow? And we left, we went on a mini vacation, and I might have spent maybe $1,500 to $2,000 on 2 or 3 nights. We were only away for like, yeah, it was like 3 nights, I think. But the ability to do that and not think what like whatsoever about it is yeah, it's fun, and that's probably the biggest way that my lifestyle has changed, because I used to be a lot more conscious of the price of things, about how I'm going to afford certain things even in the future, how I'm going to buy a house, how I'm going to get the cars that I want, the life I want. And when you start to see that form and you stop thinking about the cost of things at a lower level, then that's a fun lifestyle change.
All right. That was very interesting to listen to. And since this all began, well, a large portion of this was because of the real watch, initially at least.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to people who are still unsure about joining because they think it could be a scam for the $50?
Yeah, it's I laugh when I hear that, because I've heard that firsthand from people I know in person. And when you see, how many interviews have you done? 100 and
Over 270, no.
270,
Over that. I
and
think
your
this would be like
schedule,
275 or so. Yeah.
yeah, and your schedule's packed full
Yep.
of more to
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah. I
every
need to go to
single
another interview now, and I had
day. Yeah.
two prior deals. So yeah.
So when you see that, and you see the amount of testimonials and the amount of people who have made money, it's kind of ludicrous to sit and think that it's a scam. And for me personally, it took 5 to 6 months before I got my first client. But when I got my first client, I remember it was $1,200, and that paid back my last 5 or 6 months, and also gave me an extra like $600 or $700 on top of that, just in an instant. And then from there, it just kept skyrocketing, and it got to the point where the $50 investment was being made back 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 times in a single month. And you start to question people who doubt it. However, I do understand, people are skeptical these days. There's a lot of other online courses that aren't great, but when you see the amount of testimonials that the real world in specific has, it's a yeah, it's a no-brainer if you're willing to do the work. Because if you expect to pay your money and just sit, do zero work, you're magically going to earn everything back, then no, that's not going to happen. You have to do the work. But if you're young, hungry, old, hungry, if you want a side income, if you want a full-time income, the the sky's the limit when it comes to the real world. Just join, pick your skill, and dedicate yourself. And me and 270 other people are living examples that it's absolutely worth it.
Exactly. And for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, is there some kind of social medias or anything you want to give, or do you just prefer to not?
You know what? I'm pretty ghost on social media. I actually deleted my entire account for about a year. However, I got an Instagram account back. It is Peter Campbell with underscore after. So Peter, Peter, and then Campbell is Campbell underscore. So you'll find my Instagram, but I'm pretty low key on social media.
Okay. We'll add it to the description of the video. And yeah, Peter, insane change within you in those 8 months. It's been amazing to hear. Unfortunately, we don't have more time to go into it, but just from what
Yeah.
you have said, wow, congratulations. And yeah, look forward to seeing just how much more it progresses during when we do the other follow up in future. So until then, I wish you all the best.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.